So the Packers beat the Bears with a blocked field goal, and Joe Douglas, the GM of the Jets, gets fired today. Looks like it's a victory Monday and Tuesday for the Packers. Grossi, Posse, Packer Nation. Welcome to an episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't not do Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. Yeah, it's been a good weekend. Grossi, and today we are going to be ranking the top 10 teams heading into week 12. That's right, folks. We are almost 3/4 of the way through the season, which is crazy. We're getting into the depths of November football. And it's becoming a bit clearer who the good teams are, who the great teams are, and then whatever the hell the NFC West is. And it's a crazy time out here. And before we get into the top 10, I do want to do a bunch of honorable mentions this week. Starting off with the Green Bay mother-loving Packers. I contemplated putting them in the top 10, but honestly, just the way that they played against the Bears was not very inspiring. The pass rush was not great. Jair Alexander got hurt again. Hopefully he will be back soon. But looking at that offense, besides the first drive, the Packers did struggle to move that football, whether it was a turnover from Jordan Love or just kind of stalling out as the Bears continued to move down the field in long, sustained drives. And I gotta say, it is a divisional game. We're going up against a good defense, but the problems of the Packers with their red zone offense and their pass rush are becoming a bit apparent. And so it'll be really interesting to see how they take on the 49ers, if they're going to be able to slow down the run with CMC. I know the 49ers aren't so good, but they get an honorable mention for now. I think they're really close to taking that next step. Jordan Love did make better decisions. Again, that interception, it just sailed on him, so I'm not going to hold that against him too much. And I think the Packers can find their groove. I just hope it happens next week against the 49ers. And the other honorable mention I have to do is the Washington Commanders. The Commanders, unfortunately, losing to the Philadelphia Eagles, and it was a close game for the majority of that game until Saquon took over. And Jaden Daniels definitely has not looked his best ever since his rib injury. I imagine with this time off between the Thursday game and their next game, hopefully he gets to heal up a little bit. And listen, the Washington Commanders are a flawed football team. I think they're overexceeding a bunch of expectations, but I still think they are a good football team. It'll be interesting to see what that matchup with the Philadelphia Eagles is going to look like later down the road. And ultimately, I still think they can be a playoff team. But as of right now, the Commanders take a step down as an honorable mention. And Wildflower, I hope you get back on your feet soon. And my third honorable mention has to go to the Houston Texans, taking on the Dallas Cowboys, being the only team in Texas that matters. And the Texans, they're a little underwhelming as well. That game was a lot closer than I anticipated until the very end, similar to that Eagles-Washington game. And with the Texans, I know they're banged up a bit, but Joe Mixon had himself a really nice game. I'm just curious if they can go against some of the top teams in the league and be successful. That's where I have a bit of a concern. They went toe-to-toe with the Lions, but the Lions threw 5 interceptions, and they still fracking lost that game, talking about the Texans. So I'm not ready to put them in the top 10 just yet, but Strouds, you're getting closer and closer. Let's see how you are against some stiffer competition. And I know I'm turning into Brandon Perna with all these honorable mentions, but this one is a legit honorable mention because nobody else is talking about them. And I know this might come as a surprise, but I gotta give a shout out to the Miami Dolphins. I know you might think, Tom, the Dolphins, who'd they even play this week? I know, but they took on the Las Vegas Raiders, and Tua had himself a hell of a game. And ever since Tua has come back, the Dolphins team has been a very different football team. That offense is starting to hum along, and that defense is not looking too bad at all. And so I don't think they're going to be world enders or anything like that. December football is coming up for the Dolphins, but I got to give them a shout out because they are getting no press whatsoever right now, and they're playing some pretty good football. I know it's against the Raiders, but they did beat the Rams the other week, and so I think they at least deserve a shout out. Let's see if they can pull themselves out of this hole that they dug themselves into. And who knows, maybe they'll be contending for a playoff spot in a weak AFC. Starting off with number 10, Brandon Perna's never going to let me live this down. You got the Denver Broncos. That's right, Broncos fans. You got made fun of all off season for drafting Bo Nix. And now, I think you deserve an apology.
What's up, boss? You believe that?
Of all the
hold on. Oh, no. Do you believe that?
Whether it's Brandon Perna releasing the banger, I believe, or it's Bo Nix going off against the Atlanta Falcons, what a game for the rookie QB, who has been steadily getting better and better as the season has progressed. especially on that offense where there is a significant lack of weapons. Of course, they have Cortland Sutton, who has been fantastic, but they were expected to be one of the worst teams in the league, especially on offense. Their defense has been good ever since 70 points got scored on them last year by the Dolphins. But right now, they're playing balanced football. And if Bo Nix can continue to look like he did against the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday, they have a very bright future. They're currently sitting as the number 7 seed in the AFC, and they control their own fate. They do have some tough games coming up against some divisional opponents, so it'll be interesting to see how they play against stiffer competition, because the Atlanta Falcons are just not a great football team as of right now. But right now, I got to give a huge shout out to the Denver Broncos for beating the pants off of the Atlanta Falcons. Bo Nix looking great, and hey, I'm now a believer.
I believe.
Number 9, you got the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals dropping down a step because they were on a bye. But guess what? It didn't matter because the NFC West is a mess. And the Cardinals, they reign supreme.
I'm your king.
Well, I didn't vote for you.
You don't vote for kings.
Well, how'd you become king then?
And the Cardinals had a pretty good bye week. Not only are they playing great football before the bye week, but the 49ers lost, which makes the division even more up in the air. You have a bunch of teams that are basically tied at 5-5, and there are the Cardinals just chilling there. And I think the Cardinals can do enough to win that division. It'll be interesting to see how they play down the stretch. But Kyler Murray is playing really good football. They're running the ball effectively. Marvin Harrison Jr. is playing great. And again, they're another team that has a lot of holes. I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender, but this is a great foundational step to take this season. And if they're able to get that wild card spot or even win the division, who knows? They can make some noise in the postseason and maybe even win a playoff game. So for right now, the Cardinals are chilling at number 9, and they didn't even have to do anything. Must be pretty nice. Number 8, you are so lucky you're on this list. You got the LA Chargers. The Chargers. You were this fracking close, and Chargers fans were ready to accept what has happened so many times before.
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you go and do something like this. And totally redeem yourself!
But the Bungles outbungled the Chargers. The Chargers looked phenomenal in that first half. They had a major lead over the Bengals, and then in that second half, I don't know what the hell happened. They got away from running the football. They were going 3 and out, and it was just a mess. And you had an end of a game where they were punting, missed field goals by the Bengals, and ultimately they were able to get the win with a walk-off touchdown. But it was not pretty whatsoever. And I think the Chargers are still a good football team, and they were able, for the most part, at least for that first half, able to contain the very good offense of the Cincinnati Bengals. And I still do believe in the Chargers because Justin Herbert's great, their run game is really good, and their defense is playing pretty damn well. I think they are a very balanced football team. And so heading into the rest of the season, we'll see how they go up against the Chiefs, the Broncos, because that is going to determine where they're going to be in the standings. They currently have a playoff spot in the AFC. We'll see if they hold on to it. They avoided charging on Sunday night, and let's see if they can avoid charging the rest of the season. Number 7, you got the purple incarnation of Satan, the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings. Whew, I thought that game was going to be a challenge once you saw that Sam Darnold turnover, but then Sam Darnold, he rebounded pretty damn well. And with some help with the refs who absolutely hated the Titans on Sunday, they were able to get a big win against a pretty bad team. And I'm not giving them a boost in the power rankings because they beat a bad team, but it's because how they looked while they were doing it. Jordan Addison, holy crap, man, he is one tough dude. And that defense was able to get pressure after Will Levis sacking him a bunch of times. The offense is looking good, and they're another team that heading into the stretch, I don't think they're going to collapse because they don't have the worst schedule ahead of them, but it'll be interesting to see what they're able to do if they make it into the postseason. The NFC North is far and away the best division in football right now, though the AFC West is starting to challenge a little bit, and it is pretty damn crowded. I don't think the Vikings are going to win the division. I think that belongs probably to the Lions, but we'll see because they have rematches against the Lions and the Packers coming up. We'll see how they fare against the Bears. And right now, they're sitting at number 7. And yeah, I hope your downfall comes swiftly because screw the purple incarnation of Satan. Number 6, you got the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens. I predicted them to lose, and it was still terrible. The Ravens lost to the Steelers, who only kicked fracking field goals. The offense wasn't great. The defense has continuously not been great all season. And Ravens fans are getting ready to face that harsh reality with Justin Tucker.
You don't have to do this.
It's okay, Justin. You're going to a nice farm upstate. But the Ravens, everything just came undone against the Steelers. And unfortunately for the Ravens, this has now happened against the Cleveland Browns and the Steelers. And they have more divisional games coming up. The Steelers right now are sitting pretty because they know how to beat teams within their division. And I want to be very clear, the Ravens I still think are a good football team. Yes, their defense is definitely flawed. And if Lamar Jackson's limited by opposing defenses, it's tough to get that offense going. Now, I do think that they still can make a deep run within the playoffs. However, it depends on who they play. I think they go toe-to-toe with the Chiefs. I think they go toe-to-toe with the Bills. I just don't trust them against their own division. And I didn't last year either. When they made the postseason, I was praying that they didn't play the Browns or the Steelers because then I thought they were going to lose. And right now for the Ravens, the sky isn't falling, but they got to clean things up. They don't have too many games left to try and do that. I still think they're going to make the playoffs, but this remaining stretch is going to be very important to see how far they're going to go into the postseason. And so right now, the Ravens, you fall down to number 6. Not the worst, but clean things up, please. Number 5, you got the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles, like I said, a close game against the Washington Commanders, but at the very end, they're like, oh yeah, we have Saquon Barkley. And also that defense has been phenomenal for this past month. Mitchell has been amazing. Cooper DeJean has been amazing. That secondary, which has been their weak point all of last season, got significantly better this year, and they are looking like a damn good football team. And on Thursday night, they had to show the Commanders who the best team in the division really was.
Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you.
Oh, you can.
Yes, I can.
And so right now, if you're an Eagles fan, you're feeling pretty damn good. I know a month and a half ago it was fire Nick Sirianni, but today it's fire Nick Sirianni, so it's a lot quieter. I think the Eagles are poised to potentially win the division. We'll see how they play against the Commanders, like I said earlier, in their upcoming game. But right now, they don't have to worry about the Cowboys. They don't have to worry about the Giants. They really only got to worry about themselves and how they're going to play some tough opponents down the stretch. But right now, the Eagles are flying high, and let's see who can stop them. Number 4, you got the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers, they're going to Super Bowl. Russell Wilson didn't even have to play his best game. They freaking beat the Ravens with only field goals.
The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
And it's kind of weird that this has happened yet again this season. But the Steelers, their defense causing problems for Lamar Jackson and that Ravens offense. And the Steelers offense are doing just enough to win football games. It doesn't matter if they're scoring touchdowns or not. And I think a lot of that comes from their head coach, Mike Tomlin. I know that there's been some Steelers fans over the years that have been frustrated with Mike Tomlin because they're winning just enough games to at least have a winning record, or they get bounced in the wild card. But I think it just goes to show how good of a coach he is because he's able to take rosters that are maybe not so great, especially on the offensive side of the ball, and drag them into the postseason. And I know that could be a detriment when it comes to drafting, but Tomlin deserves his flowers here because they are phenomenal within the AFC North. They were 5-1 last year. They have a great record this year. And right now, I think the Steelers are poised to potentially win that division. They have a gauntlet of a bunch of games for their remaining schedule, and it is not going to be easy. However, a lot of them are going up against division rivals, which I just said they're pretty damn good at. So right now, the Steelers' outlook is looking pretty damn good, and Steelers are at number 4, and maybe they go to Super Bowl. Number 3, you got the Kansas City Chiefs, dropping down only a spot with their first loss of the season. And Chiefs fans, they don't really want to hear from Bills fans all week.
Sir? Sir, are you listening to me, sir? Sir, I'm talking to you. Sir, are you aware?
Because it's the Bills win in the regular season against the Chiefs get really angry, and they still win a Super Bowl time of year. And for the Chiefs, this was bound to happen. I picked the Bills to win. The Chiefs, while only losing their first game of the season, it's come pretty damn close throughout this entire year. And whether it was the blocked field goal that allowed them to win against the Broncos, whether it's toes in week 1, the Chiefs have just not been playing their best football, or at least the football that we're used to. Their defense is still really damn good. Their offense, Patrick Mahomes on Sunday, didn't look great, and he hasn't looked amazing all season. And again, this is just the high expectations we have for Mahomes, but at the same time, he was uncomfortable in the pocket. He was getting sacked, and I mentioned this on GPS. It seems like Mahomes is just unable to avoid a lot of those sacks that he's known for, and that is causing some problems as well. Whether it's the left tackle, the injuries that they're dealing with, because they have a litany of them. It's amazing they were able to go 9-0 and go this long without losing a game. It's against a tough opponent in the Bills, and the Bills are a damn good team this year. And so for the Chiefs, I know this is just the preseason for you. You're probably still going to win the division. However, you're going to have some division opponents to take on, like the Chargers and the Broncos coming up. So we'll see if you're going to be able to hold on to that division lead. But right now, I don't think the sky is falling for Kansas City. We'll see how they are in January, because we know that they're going to be there. And then that will be the true test if a team can beat them again. Number 2, you got the Buffalo Bills. Bills Mafia, you done did it, and you have never been happier to crash someone's perfect season. Josh Allen calling game with a rushing touchdown, and damn, that was a lot of fun to watch. And whenever those two teams play, it is always a classic. And for the Bills, they got to be feeling pretty damn good about it. Not only did they get to knock off the Chiefs, they ended their undefeated season, and within their division, their only real threat is potentially the Dolphins, because it ain't the Patriots, and it sure as hell is not the Jets, as they just fired their GM. So the Bills, they are in a great opportunity to not only win their division, but also compete as one of the top teams in the AFC. I don't know if they're going to get the number 1 seed, because they are still going to have to go up against teams like the Lions, which I think will be a phenomenal football game, and the Chiefs have to drop at least one more game. But the Bills are sitting pretty right now. When Matt Milano comes back, it is going to be a huge addition to that defense, and that defense is going to get even better, hopefully be able to stop the run a little bit more. And yeah, right now, Josh Allen, the Bills, they're sitting pretty, and for this quote-unquote rebuild or reload year, they're looking pretty damn good. And number 1, no surprise here, you got the Detroit Lions, because the Lions, they're playing like the best team in the NFL, and they are not slowing down.
We will be perfect in every aspect of the game. You drop a pass, you run a mile. Perfection.
The Lions beating the absolute crap out of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Jaguars fans, it'll be over soon. That's the best I got for you. And the Lions, they just keep on rolling. They're beating bad football teams. I know it's not super duper impressive when they're beating up Mac Jones and a Trevor Lawrence-less Jaguars, but this is what good teams are supposed to do. They're going toe-to-toe with some of the better teams in the league, and they are going to have some tough matchups coming up. But the Lions are playing excellent football, whether it's the run game, whether it's Jared Goff when he's not throwing 5 interceptions, and even the defense. Unfortunately, while they won the game, Anzalone got hurt. He broke his forearm, so he's going to be missing a good amount of time. He should be back for their playoff run. And the Lions right now are in firm control of the NFC North, which is pretty damn crowded. You still have the Vikings and you have the Packers, but the Lions have wins over both of those teams. So I think for the Lions, they are going to face some tougher opponents down the stretch, and we'll really see kind of where they are as a team. But as of right now, they're beating the teams that are in front of them, and that just happened to be the Glitter Kitties this week. And Lions remain the best team in the NFL until they play the Packers, he said optimistically. And so just to recap, at number 1, you got the Lions. 2, you got the Bills. Chiefs, 3, 4 Steelers, 5 Eagles, 6 Ravens, 7 Vikings, 8 Chargers, 9 Cardinals, and 10 Broncos. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Who should be on this list? Who should be off of it? Let me know. You know, I saw me at TomGrossiComedy.com or at Tom Grossi Comedy. All social media, see down below. A big shout out and thank you to all the Patreon and YouTube members for supporting this channel. And thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.